and welcome. I am XTH. Welcome to how I made Tomb Raider, specifically from her appearance in 1 to 3 Remastered. It's a nice looking Lara, isn't it? So first things first, why am I making a Lara Croft figure? Well, to be honest with you, there just aren't really any good Lara figures out there.
Trash, filth, trash.
I mean, like, of the classic design of Lara, there aren't any good action figures out there. The first one I can think of is the video game Superstars Tomb Raider figure. It was made by ToyPhotography back in the late 90s. But that's just a lightly articulated statue, and it doesn't even really look that good anyways. I know there's a pretty decent one of the Survivor Lara, but that's not the Lara I care about. The Lara I care about is the one I just showed you from 1 to 3 Remastered. The classic Lara. So that's what I wanted to make. Though I will say, you know, there are some pretty damn nice statues over like this one. This one is fantastic. This 2024 Lara Croft figure looks amazing, and she comes with a bunch of accessories too. She looks exactly how you'd expect PS1 Lara to look if you took her into Blender and remeshed her with a much higher polygon count. Okay, so the first thing that you need to figure out when you're doing a custom action figure is what base are you going to use. So for me, I wanted to accomplish a few things with this figure. So number 1, they obviously had to be the correct, you know, sort of body type that Lara has. So, you know, no, I didn't want a figure that was super petite that I would have to try and like mold fucking a big chest onto. Number 2, I wanted a figure that was sort of flat.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is a figure that doesn't have a whole lot of like stuff that comes off of them. I didn't want to use a base character that had like big ass shoulder pads that I'd have to cut off, or like boots with a whole bunch of straps and stuff that I'd have to sand down. I wanted a figure that would be super easy to work with in terms of what I actually had to mold onto and stuff. I chose a Marvel Legends figure, in this case being Moonstone. Moonstone here is perfect. She has the proportions to be Lara. She's also super flat, as I was saying. She doesn't have anything that I'm going to need to cut off or sand. And she also has a ton of articulation. She'll definitely fulfill the action figure part of what I wanted. I should probably tell you about sort of what I'm going to be using in terms of sculpting and painting and stuff like that. So, I found all this stuff on Amazon, to be honest with you. First, I want to tell you what I'm going to be using for the molding itself. So the molding I am thinking is going to be for things like her fingerless gloves. So her fingerless gloves, her braid, stuff like that. Because most of the stuff I want to 3D print, truthfully just be easier that way. I'm not that great of a sculptor. I'm really not. But for what I am going to be sculpting, I am using green stuff from the Army Painter. This stuff is actually usually used in smaller figurines. Think Warhammer miniatures and stuff like that. I also decided to get some Vallejo paints. It's mainly used for figures that you're going to be touching a lot, you know, to play the Warhammer game. So I figured these will probably stand up pretty well to human oils and stuff like that. And those will probably hold up pretty nicely over time. I also have some Vallejo liquid metal. And this is simply for Lara's guns. Because I actually do have some guns that I just purchased from somebody off eBay. The last thing I'm going to show you in terms of paints is this gloss varnish. So this I'm thinking is specifically for example, Lara's eyes, since those need to be glossy. I was also thinking for her belt buckle, since it's like it's a reflective material. I'm not gonna need to paint a whole lot with this, but that's good because it comes in a super small bottle, so if anything, that's not a problem. And I also plan on 3D printing quite a few parts. So I actually have found the model of Lara from 1 through 3 remastered. So I found it on DeviantArt from this lovely little chap right here. And I took her in a blender and I just kind of started hacking away at her. Her boobs got deleted, her legs got deleted, her pants got deleted. Even her braid got deleted, but I have a plan for her braid. And so this left me with a huge crater where her neck used to be. So I had to fill it out with a sphere that I molded to fit the shape of her neck nicely. Well, I put those into the slicing program and it was off to the races with the 3D printer. And while my AnycubicKobraNeo was doing its thing, I started doing my thing. First things first, I'm sorry Moonstone, as cool of a figure as you are, I unfortunately must take you apart. With my hairdryer in hand, Moonstone came apart piece by piece. Thankfully, these Marvel Legends figures have pretty easy joints to take apart, and not all action figures allow you to take them apart so easily. Like for example, the Tomy Sonic figures back in the day, in like 2017, 2018, those action figures, you couldn't take them apart, not even the head. Their mushroom pegs were massive, and they were built purposefully in a way where you couldn't take them apart, which is a shame, but oh well. Anyways, with Moonstone all taken apart, this is what I've got. Poor girl. Now that I've got her taken apart, now I can focus on all of the pieces. So I ended up printing out Lara's boots, which I ultimately didn't use in the end, more or less just because the ankles would have been super small. So I ended up just sculpting Lara's socks, the where her tongue and the sides of her boots meet, and the shoelaces. I was really scared about sculpting the shoelaces because sculpting things super small, I don't have very steady hands, but it worked out about as well as I could have hoped. It probably didn't help that I don't know if I just don't have my settings dialed in for my 3D printer or what it is, but the supports are really hard to get off. Like you just saw me using a screwdriver to try and get some of the supports out. I don't know, maybe there's somebody I can talk to about how to properly dial in my settings with the slicer and everything so that I don't run into this issue again. So as I was saying, I 3D printed Lara's head, her boots, her backpack, and her belt. So what you're seeing me do now is take a bunch of the support structures off. I keep going back to go get various things. Like now I have scissors, and I also have a little sandpaper with me. Yeah, and I managed to get a little overzealous with some of these parts. Yeah, you can see what's going on with her belt. One of the sides ended up coming off, and I had to sculpt it with green stuff. And I also ended up separating her holsters from her belt, so I ended up having to super glue those on. Because I'm just trying to get these parts down as smooth as I can, though truthfully, in the final figure, I ended up relying a lot on multiple paint layers to fill in the layer lines caused by the way the 3D printer prints. And you'll also see me using my Dremel tool at points just to carve out holes or to try and, again, help make things smoother. On a side note, I'm not sure if you've caught this yet, but a lot of times that I use the screwdriver to help get things off, I end up puncturing my mouse pad there. So by the time I was done, the whole left corner of my mouse pad kind of looked like it had several bullet holes in it, which... yeah, it was a fun discovery, I guess. Woohoo. Yeah, boy. So here's where I just found out that the ankle is gonna be a little too small. in order for me to use the 3D printed boots, which is a huge shame because, you know, I said earlier, one of my whole things was that I didn't want to have to do a ton of sculpting. But really, sculpting the boots ended up not really being that bad in the long run. And now you can see me pulling up the reference photos for Lara. I use the actual turnaround photos that the original artist, Konrad Majewski. Hopefully I pronounced your name right, sir. If not, I'm super sorry. But I had a history teacher back in high school that had a similar last name to you, and that's the way it was pronounced there. But these are the original turnarounds that he provided on, I believe it was ArtStation. Let's get back to doing what I was doing, I guess. I don't fucking know, man. Leave me alone. Okay, and this is how the right side boot came out. I'm actually super happy with it. I did end up going over the sock a little bit more just to get rid of that line. And this is how it looks next to the 3D printed boot. Yeah, pretty much solidifying that I made a good decision in sculpting it instead of cutting it off at the shin and sticking it on, because that's what my plan originally was. So, speaking of sculpting and stuff, I never quite mentioned how I was going to achieve the braid. Well, that is going to be in the form of one of these metal wires. So the idea here is just to cut it at an appropriate length and then sculpt the braids onto it with the green stuff. Now here I am taking my Dremel tool and putting the hole into her head. And after this, I'm gonna size up my various sizes of metal wire. And turns out this is the one that fits the nicest, so this is the one we're gonna use. It's a pretty decent fit, actually. I was gonna super glue it in place, but truthfully having that joint there is going to make the hair much more flexible, so I chose not to. So I did start painting quite a bit, but I wanted to show you some of the sculpting. So I don't have a whole lot of this because most of the shots I had, my hands were in the way, but this is just me cleaning up the braid. This was actually the very last thing I sculpted for the figure at all. And the braid is what made me wait an extra 3 days or so to be able to finish the figure. So after sculpting and all that stuff, now comes, for me, the most nerve-wracking part of this whole thing. And that's painting. Because as I said before, I don't have super steady hands, so one little jolt and all of a sudden the white sock becomes brown, or the skin of her leg over top of it has a big brown bruise on it. And yay, I'm gonna have to wait for the paint to dry and then add 2 more layers of skin color on top of that to make sure that it covers the brown effectively. And that's the kind of thing that I'm scared of when I go to paint. Especially with the super small brushes. Man, those detail brushes, man! And as soon as pieces were done, I started putting her all back together. So this is what she looked like after I had the arms and legs done. Speaking of which, here's me going to put her head on after I painted it and everything. And there's the progress I made so far. This is when I started really getting excited about it, because now she's shaping up super nicely, and this is a part where I knew I was almost done. So I knew one of the other most nerve-wracking parts of Lara was going to be her belt, especially because I screwed up and had to mold the one side of the belt. But now you can see me here super gluing the 2 sides together. And I do end up super gluing the 2 bottom edges together, though I use the holster to kind of keep them together because I can't quite stretch them enough over her thigh. And there's me getting an idea of exactly where the holster is going to not only start but also end. And this is how she looks, all ready to go, besides her braid being painted. As you can see, her guns also fit in her holsters, which is fantastic. Alrighty, but I'm thinking you're probably ready now to see what she ended up looking like, so let's get to that. here she is. I could not be happier with my new British Countess. So this Lara has 3 sets of hands, and she has her 2 pistols. For me, this is all I need. Compared to her model from Tomb Raider 1 to 3 Remastered, I think she looks pretty damn spot on. And here are some photos of her, so enjoy the small photo shoot. So how about it? Did she turn out well? Or do you think there could have been some things that I did better with her? I do know one of the things that I did, the second metallic strap around her legs shouldn't be there. The reason that I had that there was because during production, I had measured from the top of the thigh where it goes into the pelvis down to the thigh, and not the whole thing. So maybe one day I'll strip that off and paint it her skin color, and then it'll be 100% accurate. But truth be told, it's fine. It doesn't look bad at all anyways. So, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. And I think that's all I've got for you. So, without any further ado, this has been XTH, and I will bid you adieu. See you later.